The cables tangled at my feet like a nest of indecision. The modem blinked steadily as I tightened the last connection. Another fix. Another quiet victory. I crouched in the corner of our home office. Vivian's awards crowded the walls. Her degrees framed and spotlighted like curated museum pieces. Mine? A dusty shelf held my prototype router and the faded sketchbook where Signal Corps began. No fanfare, no accolades, just me and my belief in what I built. Vivian used to say I had vision, but it was the kind of compliment you give a child with finger paint, safe, distant, and utterly without faith. She never said it in front of her friends. Never in public. Out there she held me like a handbag, something functional, acceptable, but never worth discussing at length. I'd grown used to it. Not numb, but practiced. Her father, Franklin, had never hidden his disdain. He wore it like his cufflinks, polished, deliberate. "Quinn, you're wasting your life on that experiment," he'd say, like Signal Corps was a childish science project, not a network optimization tool quietly powering 4 major e-commerce platforms. Didn't correct him. I learned early. Explaining value to someone invested in your failure is an exercise in futility. Vivian adored him. Her world orbited his approval, and she worked damn hard to earn it. Ivy League graduate, finance awards, tech executives to watch. And every single time she was praised, I clapped the loudest, because I loved her. Even when she smirked at dinner parties after I shared a development breakthrough, calling it cute. I swallowed the bitterness, told myself it was just her way of coping with pressure. Even when she introduced me as the guy with all the ideas but none of the luck, I let it slide, because I believed in us, and more importantly, I believed in what I was building. Signal Corps wasn't just another hopeful app or gimmick. It was a silent backbone, an invisible accelerator hiding beneath bloated systems and inefficient code. I designed it to be the skeleton no one saw, but everyone relied on. I modeled it after myself. In a way, quiet, essential, overlooked. Most nights, while Vivian reviewed acquisition deals or prepared pitch decks in her curated glass office, I worked in the garage, my hands cramping from the soldering iron, my eyes blurring after hours of testing compression ratios and latency thresholds. My version of romance? Debugging during thunderstorm surges so our beta clients wouldn't drop signal during a power flicker. I didn't expect applause, but I hoped for respect. We used to talk more, back when she still wore flannel to bed and stole fries from my plate, before the heels got higher, before the titles grew longer, before our marriage became a branding exercise. I remember one night. She stood in the kitchen, hair tied back, holding a wine glass she hadn't sipped. "You could be huge, you know," she said quietly, "if you just had a real business partner, someone to polish the edges." I laughed then. More amused than hurt. "You mean someone who wears better suits and doesn't have solder burns?" She smiled, but didn't deny it. That was months ago. Lately, her compliments had turned into calculations. How scalable is it? What's the burn rate? What's the long-term exit strategy? As if I were a pitch deck she was forced to skim. I answered, not to impress her, but to remind myself I had answers. And yet, even with the silence, even with the quiet dismissals, I held on, because love, real love, isn't loud. It's not. Flashbulbs or Instagram-worthy moments? It's staying, believing, pouring coffee at 2 a.m. because she has a call with Singapore. Or rewiring the breaker because she tripped it running 6 monitors at once. Still, I'd be lying if I said the cracks weren't spreading. One night I overheard her on the phone. "He's supportive," she said, "but not ambitious, you know? Like, he's fine being average. I think he likes being invisible." Her voice was hushed, but not enough. I sat in the dark hallway, gripping a box of Ethernet cables, staring at the closed door. Invisible. The word burned more than I wanted to admit. I didn't confront her. What was there to say? She wasn't wrong. I had been invisible. Let her cast the light, thinking it was love, thinking that my silence was strength. But in that moment, something inside me shifted. I looked at Signal Corps' server logs with new eyes. The metrics weren't average. We'd cut data delivery lag by 28% across 3 test markets. Our tech had survived 4 DDoS attacks without a single drop. 1 of our anonymized modules had been quietly integrated into a health records platform used by 2 major hospital networks. And nobody knew, because I hadn't told them, because I played small, because I let their spotlight blind me into thinking. My shadows meant nothing, not anymore. That night I stayed up until dawn, mapping out a new structure, shell companies, licensing strategies, a stealth network of clients. I started using a pseudonym, QM Lock, for all new partnerships. The name sounded like someone who didn't wait to be introduced, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't care if Vivian noticed, because whether she saw me or not, I had decided to be undeniable, and shadows only exist when something's standing in the light. 10:05 a.m. Eastern. Not too early. Just enough time for Strapman's team to begin their morning with coffee and a heart attack. After locking the release, I turned to the acquisition terms. Not the ones Vivian smugly slid across the table in that rooftop joke of a deal. No, these were real terms, drafted by me. Only this time, they weren't for Signal Corps. They were for Strapman's cybersecurity assets. Through a shell company, I had quietly bought up several key patents their division had failed to renew on time. Oversights from a team too busy with champagne to notice what was slipping through their fingers. Those patents, now held by Trent, gave us legal leverage to pursue acquisition of the entire portfolio, if we wanted. And I wanted. I sent a message to Kira. All systems prepped. "We're ready," she replied in under a minute. "They'll panic. Don't blink." I didn't plan to. By 4:30 a.m., I was running simulations through our internal load test. I watched as virtual users pushed every corner of the infrastructure looking for cracks. None appeared. The systems held. Resilient, secure. More than I could say for the house I lived in, where the woman upstairs had planned my professional funeral behind a clink of glass and polite applause. The bitterness tried to creep in, but I wouldn't let it. Not now. Not after everything. I didn't